Good morning, and today's going to be 8-7 of hearts. We have under the gun limps. It's to me, this should be a raising hand here. Really should have raised it. Really should have isolated it up to 5. Get heads up against this player. A hand strong enough to play. Is it strong enough for an ISO raise? That's kind of debatable a bit because we're going to be in mid position versus early position. If we look through like the ISO raising range hands, you can see that it's kind of like an optional 7-8. Sometimes we can do it, sometimes we don't. You can see the dark blues are the always ISO raise. So we definitely have some that we could be. We could easily ISO raise this hand. I didn't ISO raise it. I just folded. Don't know if that's the right play or not. I can tell you that I think this is right at the end. This was one of the last hands that I played. I think I was done for the night. I was just playing up to the big blind, and that's not really an excuse. It's actually kind of a form of tilt where you decide that we're gonna quit, and then you just sit there and you take the cards. Once I decided I should quit, I should have just quit. Just say be done with it, and that avoids a situation where you get a hand that's playable, and I don't play it because given the stack, 167, I say I'm happy with this amount. So didn't raise, and then you've got big blind that raises here, isolates, and then the limper calls. So let's work on some ranges. This player's playing 24/7. 4 definitely looks passive. This will be the first time in early position that he's played a hand. We only have 58 hands on him, so it's going to be hard to really narrow down ranges or to really get a suitable range here. All I could say is that he does have some raises. He does have some raise first in. Not many, but he does have some. So when we look at it, I put together a big range like this. This is like 24%. Kind of matches like the looseness. We don't know like what percentage he plays. These 14 hands, he might not have ever had hands to actually play out of those 14 hands. But the reason I include this, I went up to 25, is because we do have some notes, and we have a limp and call to raise with King 8 suited. So I needed to make sure that we at least have that. And I just scaled this up to like 20, scaled it up until I had what I thought was pretty good, and then I assumed jacks plus ace queens, probably a raise. He might raise with more, like he might raise with something like that. We don't know, but I'm going to go with this range at 23.7%. I do think that given the difference between the VPIP and the preflop raise stat, that he is on the passive sides, and under the gun he might be more inclined to just limp with some of these hands here than to raise with him and play him out of position. This player isolates. We've got 148 hands on him. He raises about 11%. We've got raised with previous limpers. This is the first time he's done that. We can look at his 3-bet stat, 6%, so 4 out of 67. Do we have some notes on him? No, not really. We've got called 2 bets from the blind with ace 8, ace 5. We've got donk spot with top pair or better. I kind of think these suited aces probably would just limp behind. So I think the ISO raise coming from the big blinds, probably a tighter range, something like this at 5%. This could be a little narrow, but we're going to go with it. So the flop comes down 5-4-4 with 2 diamonds. He is short stacked, so effective stack is about 48 big blinds here. He checks and then checks behind. So with this check, kind of exclude overpairs. I kind of think the overpair would be betting here. Ace high probably calls, just checks. And the no mate hand checks. And the question is, what about the flush draw, the diamonds? Does he bet with the diamond draw or not? I kind of think he would. Because he has such a high C bet. So yeah, I'd probably say he would bet with flush draw. I guess we have to consider this possibility that maybe he's not. Maybe he looks at this board, he connects. Maybe he's going to go for a check raise to try to get all in. That is, I guess that would be a possibility. And maybe he would do that with his overpairs too. Yeah, but with this, let's see if we have any check raises. No, he hasn't done a check raise. He's C bet. Looks pretty high, so yeah, I kind of think flush draw is going to be C betting here. So we're going to go with that. He checks. The other guy checks behind too. The other guy's much more passive, so I do think like a quads. Quads could probably slow play. Full house is probably slow playing. Three of a kind. The board's got 4/4 wood. That slow down him. I'm gonna say no. Yeah, three of a kind overpair. I assume he would bet. Top pair probably not. Flush draw. Given that passivity, I don't know. Probably not. He has C bet. I mean, 1/1, so he is capable of that. Three of a kind would bet. Overpair would bet. Top pair will say would bet. He'll fire out at least one bet here. Pocket pair below the board, no. So we'll X those out. And we'll leave probably the flush draws in there. I think we'll leave the flush draws in there. So we did narrow some ranges. Jack of diamonds comes out next. So I'll say here, let's go back with my 7/8 that I had. If I raise and get called, I would bet this. I'm going with a gut shot. I'm going with a backdoor heart draw. I think I would see bet this. And then on the jack, I think if I get called, I'm probably just going to be checking behind. That's going to connect with the diamonds. I assume that diamonds, flush draws are going to be in their ranges. And, if we look at it, I mean, it's going to be a small percentage of the range, but I think we're folding out like a lot of the overcards with our C bet. All right, so now we get a bet, and then we get a call. So from here, now we're getting our bet. So maybe a top pair here. Maybe we're getting flush draws, second, third nut flush draws. I think that is all legitimate for this player. And probably all that he has. Would he bet a weak like a queen? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. We'll leave that in there. And he bet half pot, so I think these types of hands fit it. This player calls, so yeah, I think he would quads, full house, probably still plays. The flush, I think would just call, especially like nut flush. You've got it. I think generally these passive players get scared. and that's why they're not going to really raise. So we'll say top pair. I don't think he's going to have pocket pair less than the board anymore. I think the flush draw nut, second nut, probably the third nut's going to be calling. So we're going to move ahead to the river. 9 of hearts. Now we got an overbet here and a call. And this is interesting because we need to know what would he overbet with at this point. Kind of feel like maybe it's just top pair. Maybe he's overbetting. Yeah, maybe he's overbetting because he thinks villain's just calling with a diamond. Yeah, like a lone diamond. Guess he could also have a ace high. I don't know. This just doesn't. I think it's very polarizing. So I almost say this almost looks like it's a full house or just like a missed diamond draw, like ace of diamonds. I think that's what it is. And this guy calling, when you think about like what he can call with, you're looking at quads, full house, and I do think he's probably calling with these flushes, possibly with all of the flushes. So that's 25%. I think on a bet that size, I'm not sure if a top pair could call. So you're looking at like 31% at least calling. So let's see it. He shows a 7, so he's got the nut flush. So I was off. I kind of assumed he would have c-bet that. And then you've got the king 8 of diamonds, which is the second flush. So we had that. So we missed this guy's bet because I kind of assumed he would have c-bet that. But he didn't. And I guess I kind of understand why he wouldn't. But the other thing is that we didn't have that in his range to begin with. We didn't have all of those. We kind of kept his range pretty tight. Kept his range pretty tight, and we missed it. So let's get some notes here. So he ISO raised, and I think that was to 3.5. Yep, ISO raised 3.5 big blind. In big blind versus under the gun. LFI with ace 7 of diamonds. Right. And then he bet half. Yep. So he is out of position. Checked at 50%. And then he bet river. That's about 3x pot. Bet all in 3x pot. Okay, 5 of diamonds, 4 diamonds, 4 hearts, jack of diamonds, 9 of hearts. LFI and called, big blind, 3.5, ISO raised, and under the gun with king 8 diamonds, in position check, call 50%, call 3.5x pot all in. Alright, it's actually 3x pot all in. Alright. Did I say 3? I'm pretty certain I said that. Alright. So, don't really like his call. I don't like his limp. I don't like his call. But we know that. Just a passive player. You're going to see him. It is what it is. His ISO raise, I think, is pretty decent. Raised to 3.5. I thought it was kind of interesting that he didn't c-bet here. Based on his c-bet stats, it does look like he c-bets a lot. I think this is definitely a board where he could c-bet. You do have gut shots. You know, you pick up a 6. You've got an open ender now with the 7. Now it's not like the greatest straight because it's only a 1-card straight that you're drawing to, but it's still something. You've got your diamond draw. You've got your ace. I guess he probably checked because he didn't want to get raised off his hand. And I could see that because we look at a board like this and we assume that that's not going to hit the ISO raising range's hand, raiser's hand. He bets, you know, he leads out with a C bet. We raise, let's say in position on him. We could be making that play with a wide range of hands, and it's going to be hard to play against. It definitely would make me uncomfortable. But with a ace 7, I'm going to be calling that, and then the diamond comes out and probably check to check to the pre-flop raiser. If he checks behind, then you're left on the river. It's like, do we bet? Do we just do we bet a little bit? Do we do we bet a little bit? Do we just check and hope that villain bets for us? I don't think this hand's strong enough to like bet, get raised, and then 4-bet on the flop, but I do think it could see bet. I hope that with his check, with his flop check, that he is also checking some of his big hands. Now, I have him with these big pocket pairs. I think aces, kings, those are going to be ones that you could easily just check and help protect some of these other checks that he has. I think jacks, 10s, queens needs to be bet. You're betting those because a little bit for value, a little bit for protection. An ace or king could, that falls on the turn could be difficult for us. I think you bet one of those. Yeah, you're going to get worse hands to call, probably. Same thing's going to happen with ace or king, but if you're going to include some of these hands like these diamonds in checking range, you're going to have some other hands to kind of help back that up. I think any 4x, so if you have a7, you probably have ace4. I think ace4 should be a bet. C-bet, go for value, build the pot up, and so forth. On the river, he shoves a 44 big blind. That is, as I said, this looks like it's going to be polarizing. You either have a big hand or you don't. I'm not sure if the nut flush is a hand that I would have said is super strong, be in that polarizing range, but it is. So we've got some hands. We took some notes for them for both players. So next time we see him, we'll improve. Now we did include the king 8 because we had a note on him. We didn't have it here. If we had it, if we knew he had like an ISO raising range with a7, then we're going to give him all of those. We're probably going to build up, maybe not all of our pocket pair, but definitely do something stronger like this. At a minimum. And that does now get into your ace-x, like your nut flush draws and so forth. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow. We'll get another hand posted.